Thank you for joining us on Asaase 99.5 and our sister stations across the country, as well as our affiliates all over the nation. I have here with me the Minister of Finance for Ghana, Honorable Ken Ofori Atta. Would want to find out a few things about the economy. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, and Happy New Year. It's
Many
good to be
happy
here.
returns. Many happy returns. Obviously, it sounds like we have some good news for the country. 2 or 3 days ago, you mentioned on your Twitter handle that you have the term sheet and you were reviewing it. So it tells us that you have actually secured that financing assurance from our creditors. Now, can you confirm that to us? And can you also confirm what the terms are for us?
Great. Thank you very much indeed. And actually, yesterday was quite historic. We did receive the draft term sheets from the OCC, which means in effect that the co-chairs, France and China, working with members of the Official Creditor Committee, had come to broad agreement on the way forward. That really signaled to the fund that they can proceed to have the board meeting, which would then lead to the release of the 600 million, which we negotiated with the fund. The expectation is that the fund will sit on January 19th, and we should get approval for the disbursement, which should happen in short order, as happened on May 17, 2023, last year. But then it also triggers the World Bank board meeting, which will be, I believe, on January 25th. And that would also lead to the approval and release of about $300 million for the DPO, and maybe another $250 million for the Financial Stability Fund to anchor the banking and financial industry. So yes, but the terms will have to sit with the OCC to agree on a memorandum of understanding. We've already sent them notification that we're in broad agreement with the terms that they have brought to us. I think one of the things that we need to note is that the cutoff date has always been March 2020. For us in Ghana, the cutoff date was extended to December 2022, which gives us a lot more latitude to work with each of the bilaterals, so that these projects that we have can begin to start working again. So yes, as you said, great news, January 12th, 2024, a good way to begin the year. Obviously, China and France are on our side as a country, and that's important.
Speaking of China and France, what was the level of cooperation from them? Because some monitors were saying that the delay in receiving this debt treatment was because they were putting forward some conditions.
I think, conditions with regards to, it's almost the assurance that there was comparability of treatment with the various slew of loans that have been given to Ghana, a total of about 5.1 billion, with each country and ECA having different terms. So I think that technical exercise went some way. But at the end of the day, I think what we have in which the cutoff date was extended to 2022 is good for us. I think that we're about $2.8 billion or so restructured between 2023 and 2026, which is also good for us. And then the the liberty to now work with each bilateral to make sure that all the projects that came to a standstill, initiated again. So in the end, I think the delay has been worth it. I think we have a stronger draft term sheet than any other country would have had, and in the next coming 2 weeks or so, we'll hopefully will then be able to construct an MOU that can be signed by both parties.
And how do you intend to handle such challenges as we look forward to the third tranche?
I think the key issue now that the fund it's comfortable with assurances that have been given. Third tranche, which will be mid-year, will require us fulfilling the terms of our structural benchmarks and indicative targets, etc., and quantitative performance criteria. And that is, discipline and hard work going forward. So we should be able to do that. The country has proven that it can. As you recall, the staff level agreement, we have done it fastest, within 5 months. And you can see the results of the discipline. Very difficult domestic debt exchange program, but I think it has stood us, it has put us in good stead. The way in which the economy has then also responded. You can see inflation has literally come down by 31% between December 2022 and now. Growth has held at around 3% for the period. The currency has also been relatively robust between February and end of year, about 7% depreciation. So this injection at this time will create the confidence for us to continue, I believe, with a robust economy going forward.
You seem to be ahead of the curve as regards the IMF and the G20 timelines, despite the fact that, we couldn't have this done in November. How has this been possible?
I just keep saying in a way that this is a blessed country, and we need to acknowledge that and work towards that. Our people, all of us, are resilient, and I think once we speak the same language, we do see results. And I think it's out there for everybody to see that even as the hurdles are put in us, we are able to scale them and move forward. And I think that is the type of unity of purpose that will continue to help us ensure that we are going to have a strong 2024. I'm confident about that we'll do that. I think what's ahead of us then is how to now have our conversations with the Eurobond investors. That's $13 billion. But Ghana has done its part. I think the debt exchange program is just indicative of how far we are prepared to go as a people to get our economy back. The OCC agreeing to what we have. We'll have the MOU signed. The responsiveness of the fund and the World Bank is indicative, and the development partners. And so I think we are in a good position as a nation to expect that the 15% inflation target that we have, I pray that we may even exceed that, and that the currency will continue to be stable.
And we are not hitting a single digits.
Single digits we had expected in 2025, but as you can see, we have been, as you said, ahead of the curve most of the times. So we'll drive for it.
Minister, when should we expect this money the 600 million, to hit the government of Ghana's account at the Bank of Ghana?
Remember last year we negotiated well so that on May 17th, when the board approved, I think within 24 hours, that was released. This is going to be a Friday, January 19th. And so I'm thinking that latest by the following Tuesday, we should do it. But as usual, personnel, the Minister of Finance will negotiate very hard, and it might just come instantly.
And which priority areas are you looking at expending this money?
Already we do have the appropriation that was passed and the revenue bills that have also been passed. So that is all pretty much budget support in a sense. But clearly this year also has to be a year in which the issue of job creation and credit to the private sector take prominence. And so that type of allocation would occur.
Okay. We are in an election year.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have a lot of financial analysts saying that the government is going to spend so much. How do you plan to contain expenditure this year?
We have been very vigilant these past 18 months or so, and we will continue to be. Certain guardrails that I think we all need to recognize that all of us in the country know that inflation, currency depreciation are killers for all of us. So we have to protect them. And therefore, we have to manage our expenditure. Secondly, both in June and July and in December of this year, our potential disbursements from the fund which will require us to meet certain targets. And so we truly have no choice but to meet those targets so that those releases would occur. And I think for us, government is very clear about making sure that the macro fiscals are not compromised. And we intend to do that.
So the IMF says that growth is going to be generally globally is going to be slow. In fact, they say 2024 is still going to be a tough year as the previous years. The World Bank has said the same. How would you label this year?
What is impossible will be possible. That's how I named this year. And we named our budget the Economic budget. And so it's a year of victory. I like where we are going in terms of inflation numbers that we have seen, the currency stability, and beginning the year with this type of disbursement and injection into the economy is also a very positive sign of the way forward. And a lot of savings that are going to occur if we look at the term sheet from the OCC. You can see sort of the cut in interest rate that are going to happen to enable us, save, maybe about 2.8 billion over the period that the debt is suspended. So I think we are in really good shape for that. The corner has been turned, and maybe we are even ahead of the curve, and will continue to be pretty firm on the issue of expenditure. And you also know the Ghana Revenue Authority's performance was very impressive last year. Literally over 50% increase from the 75 billion of 2022 to maybe close to 114 billion, which then brings it about 14% debt revenue to GDP, which is great, and certainly surpassing the 109 target that we had given them. So that continuing trajectory, holding down on expenditure, we then expect growth to be very strong.
All right. Thank you, sir.